All right, so today we're diving into something I think we all want,
Yeah.
which is confidence when speaking English.
Right.
Imagine like totally nailing that presentation at work,
Mm-hmm.
effortlessly just chatting with colleagues or, even landing a joke perfectly in English.
Yeah. That's the dream.
That's the dream, right?
For sure.
So today we are going to be taking a look at the English Globe podcast.
Okay.
And it's hosted by Adam and Julia, who are English teachers.
Nice.
And we're going to be looking at an episode
Okay.
about building confidence when speaking English.
Awesome.
We've got excerpts from the episode. We have full
Yeah.
transcripts. We have some notes. So we're really going to do a deep
I
dive.
was gonna say all the materials.
Yeah, that's great. And kind of turn all their wisdom into like a toolkit for you
Yeah.
to become a more confident English speaker.
I like it. It's like we're reverse engineering fluency.
Right?
We're gonna have the blueprint from people who help people achieve it every day.
Exactly. And one of the things that they really emphasize is that confidence itself is key. It's what pushes you to practice, to participate,
Yeah.
and to actually use those English skills
Yeah.
that you're working so hard to build.
It makes sense.
And they actually say that, like, lack of confidence is one of the biggest reasons that people just avoid English altogether.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're so afraid of messing up or being misunderstood
Yeah.
that they just don't even try.
I think that's what's so refreshing about their approach, too. It's not just grammar drills.
Yeah.
It's about addressing the emotional side of language learning.
Yeah, they really do hit on, like, the emotional side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they acknowledge those common fears like making mistakes, not being understood,
Sure.
public speaking,
Oh, yeah.
all those things.
Yeah.
But they don't just say like, oh, don't worry about it.
Right.
They actually share their own stories
Yeah.
of overcoming these hurdles.
I love
Like Adam talks about his experience with Spanish and how he was really nervous to speak it for a long time.
I can relate to that.
But he finally took the plunge
Yeah.
and he knew he was going to make mistakes, but he did it anyway.
Good for him.
And the surprising thing is people were totally understanding.
Right.
He realized that most people just appreciate the effort to communicate.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a good reminder that we tend to overestimate how much people are judging us.
Yeah. Yeah. We get in our own heads
That's right.
way too much.
Julia also shares her story about public speaking
Oh, yeah.
in French,
Uh-huh.
and she was terrified at first,
I can imagine.
but she ended up joining a language exchange group,
Oh, cool.
and that made a huge difference for her.
Wow.
So it's like the more she participated, the less scary it became.
It's that classic exposure therapy.
Right.
And it really does work.
You can't build confidence without actually facing those fears.
Yeah, you got to get out of your comfort zone.
But she also highlights the importance of finding the right environment. Like a supportive group can be such a good confidence booster. Now let's get into some of the practical stuff.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
One thing that they really hammered home is the power of consistent practice,
Makes sense.
even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
I like that.
And they have some really clever ideas for incorporating English into your daily routine.
Ooh, like what?
Well, I loved the suggestion about listening to English podcasts during your commute.
Oh, that's easier.
Yeah, it's like a really simple but effective way to passively absorb the language.
You're just like taking it in.
Yeah, Adam even says it's like osmosis, you're learning without even realizing it.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, it's totally doable. We're all multitasking these days anyway.
It's true.
They also talk about setting small, achievable goals
Okay.
to build momentum.
Yeah.
I thought that the example of Adam's student who set a goal to introduce himself in English at every new meeting
Oh, wow.
was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like such a small thing,
All right.
but it helped him build his confidence over time.
It's all about those little wins.
Yeah, what strikes me is that it's not about finding these huge chunks of time.
Yeah.
It's about making small, consistent changes
Right.
that add up over time,
Exactly.
which is a much more realistic approach, I think.
Yeah, especially for busy people.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely. They also talk about the power of positive affirmations.
Yeah.
I know some people roll their eyes at that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm a big believer in the power of self-talk.
Oh, me too.
And Adam and Julia suggest using affirmations like, I am improving my English every day,
I like that.
to shift your mindset
Yeah.
and combat all those negative thoughts that can creep in.
You know, I was skeptical about affirmations for a long time.
Right.
But there's actually like a growing body of research that shows they can be quite effective.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's about like retraining your brain to focus on the positive and believe in your ability to succeed.
And I like that they don't shy away from talking about making mistakes.
Mm.
They actually view mistakes as valuable learning opportunities,
I love that.
which is so refreshing.
Yeah.
And I love the story they share about this successful entrepreneur
Yep.
who had to learn English as a second language.
Mm-hmm.
And she really embraced her mistakes.
Wow.
She saw them as stepping stones to fluency.
That's powerful.
And I think that's such an important message.
Yeah.
We need to shift away from this fear of making mistakes
Totally.
and embrace them as part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
The more you're willing to experiment and put yourself out there,
Right.
the faster you'll progress.
You'll learn so much more.
Yeah. And finally, they emphasize the importance of finding a supportive community.
Oh, that's huge.
It's so much easier to stay motivated and confident when you're surrounded by people who are going through the same thing.
Absolutely.
So they suggest checking out websites like meetup.com
Okay.
or apps like Tandem or HelloTalk
Cool.
to find language partners and groups.
I think that's a really crucial point. It's easy to feel isolated when you're learning a language, especially if you're doing it on your own.
Right.
But having a community to connect with, to practice with, and share your struggles and your triumphs with
Yeah.
can make all the difference.
Okay, so we've covered some really powerful mindset shifts
Yeah.
and strategies for building confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is,
Yeah.
how do we actually put these into practice
Right.
in real-life situations?
It's one thing to talk about it, but we got to actually do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is where Adam and Julia really shine. They walk through some really common scenarios that can be nerve-wracking
Okay.
and show you exactly how to handle them with confidence.
So they give you like the tools and the words?
Yeah, they break it down step by step.
Awesome.
So they start with introduction, which seem really basic,
Yeah.
but they can still be intimidating
Great.
in another language.
Yeah, for sure.
So Adam pretends to be somebody new, and Julia shows how to introduce yourself clearly and confidently without getting flustered.
I like it.
And they even give you some specific phrases you can use.
Oh, perfect.
Like, it's a pleasure to meet you, or I'm excited to be here.
Having those ready to go
Yeah.
is so helpful.
It can really boost your confidence in the moment.
Yeah, because sometimes you just like draw blank,
Totally.
especially if you're nervous.
Yeah, your mind goes blank.
They also role play a scenario where you need to ask for help,
Oh, that's a good one.
which, let's be real, we all need to do that sometimes.
All the time.
And they emphasize that most people are happy to help.
Yeah.
And they give you some phrases for politely requesting that assistance.
Like what?
Like, excuse me, would you mind helping me with this? Or
Mhm.
could you please clarify what you mean?
Those are really useful.
Yeah. I think it's great how they encourage listeners to view asking for help, not as a weakness,
Right.
but as an opportunity to practice.
Exactly. It's a chance to use your English.
Yeah.
And you never know, it might lead to some interesting conversations.
Oh, for sure. And then they even tackle the art of small talk,
Oh, boy.
which can be tricky even for native speakers.
It is.
So they share some tips for starting conversations, keeping them flowing, and even exiting gracefully.
What are some of their tips?
They suggest talking about things like the weather or current events or shared interests.
Those are good starting points.
Yeah, it's all about breaking the ice
All right.
and building that rapport.
And I like that they don't just give generic advice.
Right.
They give concrete examples.
I noticed that too.
Like, instead of just saying, nice weather today,
Right, which is so boring.
they might suggest saying, the sunshine is a welcome change, isn't it?
Oh, that's much better.
A little more engaging.
But show some personality.
Yeah, exactly.
So after the role-playing, they open it up to questions from listeners.
How cool.
And this is where I think their years of experience really come in handy.
Yeah, they've probably heard it all.
Right.
So what's the first question?
The first one is how to overcome speaking anxiety,
Oh, yeah, a class.
which I think almost every language learner deals with at some point.
For sure.
What do they say?
Well, they suggest starting small,
Okay.
practice in low-pressure environments.
So, like, what does that even look like?
Well, like talking to yourself in English.
Like,
Or recording your voice.
okay.
Or maybe practicing with a close friend or family member.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Someone who you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And won't judge you.
Right.
They even suggest trying tongue twisters
Oh, fun.
to warm up your mouth muscles
Okay.
and get comfortable with the sounds of English.
That's a good idea.
So it's all about gradually building up your confidence
Okay.
before you jump into those more challenging situations.
Like dipping your toe in the pool
Exactly.
before you, like, cannonball in.
Yes.
Okay. So they talk about starting small.
They also highlight deep breathing exercises
Okay.
and visualization techniques.
Ooh, tell me more about the visualization.
Well, deep breathing can help calm your nerves,
Okay.
slow down your heart rate. And visualization helps you create a mental picture of yourself speaking confidently.
I love that.
And successfully.
I've used visualization before presentations,
Really?
and it really does help.
It's powerful stuff.
It's like you're training your brain to believe you can do it.
Exactly.
Another common question is about staying motivated.
Yeah. How do you keep that momentum going?
Right. Because it's easy to start with all this enthusiasm,
Totally.
but then life gets in the way and
You lose steam.
yeah.
So what do they recommend?
Well, they emphasize the importance of setting specific goals,
Okay.
tracking your progress,
Uh-huh.
and most importantly, making it fun.
Oh, that's key.
So they have all these ideas like if you enjoy cooking, you could follow some English recipes,
That's a good one.
or watch English language movies with subtitles,
Yeah.
or listen to English music and sing along.
I love that.
It's all about making English a part of your life,
Right.
not just another chore.
Exactly.
The next question they address is about improving fluency, which is obviously a common goal,
Yeah, we all want to sound more fluent.
but it can feel kind of elusive.
For sure.
So what do they say?
Well, they really emphasize speaking practice above all else.
Oh.
They suggest finding a language partner
Okay.
or a group or joining an online conversation forum or even just talking to yourself out loud.
Yeah,
The key is to get comfortable with spoken English.
right. Just to let the words flow.
Exactly. And they make a really important point.
What's that?
Fluency isn't about perfection.
Oh.
That's good to remember.
Yeah, it's about getting your message across,
Right.
even if you make a few mistakes along the way.
That's so important.
It is. They encourage learners to focus on expressing their ideas
Uh-huh.
rather than getting bogged down in grammar rules.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I get so caught up in the grammar that I
Yeah.
forget what I'm even trying to say.
Exactly.
And they revisit positive affirmations again.
They really believe in that.
They do. They advise listeners to identify any negative thoughts. Uh-huh.
That they have about their English
Yeah.
and consciously replace them
Okay.
with positive statements.
So give me an example.
Okay, so instead of thinking, I'm not good at English,
Right, which is so negative.
you could try saying, I'm learning and improving every day.
Oh, I like that.
Or, I'm capable of speaking English fluently.
So it's about reframing those thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a simple but powerful shift.
I agree.
The more you repeat those affirmations, the more you start to believe them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've covered a lot in this section.
We have.
Adam and Julie have given us some really practical tools for
Yeah.
putting all these confidence-building strategies into action.
They really break it down.
They do. They've shown us how to handle common scenarios, how to overcome that speaking anxiety, how to stay motivated, how to improve fluency, and how to use those positive affirmations.
Awesome.
But we're not done yet.
There's more, though.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, remember all those notes and transcripts we have?
Oh, yeah, we have so much to work with.
They actually offer some additional perspectives
Okay,
that I think are really valuable.
let's hear it.
Okay, one thing that really jumped out at me
Okay.
was this emphasis on the psychology of confidence.
Hmm,
You know, it's not just about knowing the language.
right?
It's about believing in yourself
Yeah,
and your ability to use it.
I can see that.
It's almost like you have this powerful tool,
Okay,
but you're afraid to take it out of the box.
right.
And these notes really go deep
Yeah.
into the importance of recognizing and challenging those negative thoughts
Yeah, those can be so sneaky.
that hold us back, right?
Totally.
It's about cultivating a growth mindset
Explain that to me.
where you view challenges as opportunities,
Okay.
not threats.
Instead of like roadblocks, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, a detour.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and it makes me think about those stories that Adam and Julia shared.
Uh,
They both faced their fears,
yeah,
and they embraced those mistakes.
Yeah.
And that shift in perspective is so crucial
for sure.
for building that genuine confidence.
Yeah, you can't be afraid to fail.
Right.
Okay, so the notes also highlight the importance of finding a supportive community.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
We did.
But it's worth repeating.
It is.
Surrounding yourself with people who encourage you
Yeah.
and believe in your potential can make such a huge difference.
It's like having a cheerleading squad for your English.
Exactly.
Accepting.
So there were also some interesting techniques in the notes
Oh, okay.
for dealing with speaking anxiety.
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit.
We did.
But I'm always open to more tips.
One technique that really stood out to me was this idea of practicing in low-pressure environments.
Okay, remind me what that means.
So start by, like, talking to yourself in English, recording your voice,
Yeah,
practicing with a close friend or family member.
right. Someone who you feel comfortable making mistakes in front of.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's about building that comfort level before you jump into those more challenging situations.
It's like starting with the training wheels
Yes.
before you enter the Tour de France.
Exactly.
And then there's visualization,
Oh, yeah.
which we talked about briefly.
We did.
But this is a technique used by so many successful people,
Athletes,
performers,
business leaders.
everyone.
It's really about creating a mental picture
Mm.
of yourself successfully navigating a conversation or a presentation.
So, like, imagine yourself in the room.
Yeah.
People are listening, they're engaged.
You're speaking clearly
Right.
and confidently.
And feeling that sense of accomplishment.
It's almost like creating a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I love that.
By repeatedly visualizing success,
Uh-huh.
you're training your brain to believe it's possible.
Yeah. And when you believe it's possible,
You're more likely to take action.
okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one piece of advice you would give to someone who is struggling with self-doubt when it comes to their English?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I would say remember that confidence is a skill,
Okay.
not a personality trait.
I like that.
And like any skill, it can
Yeah.
be developed
Right.
with practice
Yeah.
and the right mindset.
I think that's great advice. And I would add, find your people.
Oh, yes.
Connect with other English learners. Build a support system.
Celebrate each other's successes.
Right, because learning a language is a journey.
It is.
And it's so much more enjoyable when you have people to share it with.
And all those English learners out there,
Yeah.
you've got this.
The world is waiting to hear what you have to say.